Sara, it's great to have you on the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Now, you have an amazing and inspirational story. One of the key moments in your life seems to have come from a seminar that you went to, and the speaker challenged the audience to name a project that you think would be impossible and then commit to doing it. Would you share that story?
Yeah, I was a UCLA student back then, and I didn't have much self-confidence. I was really shy, and one of my professors, he told me that you need to be more confident, you need to learn some skills, you're too shy, go participate, find a seminar that will help you. And I went to this seminar and I thought, because I grew up in Iran and I don't want to make it very, I mean, that's another story and another podcast, but, I grew up seeing women being invisible. So it was very normal for me to be shy and have low self-confidence. And I went to this seminar and my goal was just to gain some skills, and I did. But at the end of the seminar, the leader said, come up with a project so big and huge beyond yourself, something impossible, something that you can't even think of doing in your wildest dreams. And I just thought about all the things that I could do in my life, and I didn't have a very big imagination, but somebody behind me started talking about Everest. And I just heard the word Everest and I thought that's perfect impossible, because I've never slept in a sleeping bag. I've never had a sleeping bag. I've never had a pair of hiking boots. I've never been camping before in my life. I hate cold weather. Even in California, I wear a jacket. So that would be a perfect impossible.
Mm,
And the leader told us just to take the first step. And that's what I did.
wow. And your TED Talk is so amazing, titled Climb Your Everest. What you ask in your TED Talk, what is your Everest? What happens when we commit to a huge goal and vision for our life?
I didn't know back then that when I start choosing a big goal for myself that is way beyond me, I have to grow so much to become the size of that goal. And
Mm,
I think that's the secret. When you choose a very big goal, and it can be anything, I want to get my PhD, I want to get promoted to a VP, I want to have an amazing relationship with my parents or my siblings or my partner, doesn't matter. I think when we pick a really big project that is very challenging, I'm going to call it Everest, because for me it was literally Everest.
Do you think that
It,
people rarely are able to think of big goals?
yeah, I think like our educational system makes us all kind of the educational system really narrows our imagination, and it wants us to really think the same way rather than helps us explore new avenues, new fields of study. And I mean, I grew up in a family that my parents always told me, you only have two options in life. You either become a doctor or an engineer. That's it. And I
Mm,
hated blood, so I had to become an engineer. And I'm sure this happens to a lot of kids all over the world. Their parents want their kids to continue on whatever they were doing or they were dreaming to do. And 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 plus the educational system. So yes, of course, the whole system is killing a lot of imagination, but I'm very hopeful. This new generation that are coming up, they are amazing. Like the younger kids that I talk to, like 20 years younger than me, they're just so powerful and so imaginative and so hopeful. So I'm hoping it changes in the future.
mm. And it seems like with the next generation hitting the workforce that they are more connected with the purpose and the mission of their job. They don't want to just have a job to do it. They want to have a real purpose. Have you found that?
Exactly, exactly. I totally agree with you. Yeah.
Now, you give to many worthy organizations, and one of them is Empower Nepali Girls. What are ways you hope the organization will change those girls' lives?
Yeah, when I started working with the organization and I met the founder of organization, originally this was founded 20 years ago, and the original goal back then was fighting human trafficking, because there was this belief back then that men who were HIV positive, they thought that if they sleep with a virgin girl, their HIVs get treated, they get well.
Mm.
So they would just go to these remote villages, to very poor families, and they would tell them, well, we take your daughter to go work in the city and make money for you. But they really ended up in brothels. So when 7 years ago I started working with Empower Nepali Girls, and I heard this story, I promised that I raise $1 per foot of any mountain that I climb. Like Everest is 29,000 feet. I promised to raise $29,000 to bring awareness, to bring funds so that the girls can continue their education. The families are not worried about them, that there's this extra mouth that I have to feed, So now they know the kids, their daughters, they will continue their education. They're going to find a job. They are able to take care of themselves. So they don't have to send them anywhere or marry them off at a very young age.
Mm. So you're really planting seeds for these young girls.
Yeah, that's the hope, and that's exactly what we are doing right now. Now the girls are older, and some of them are in college level or university level, and we are conducting leadership workshops for them to learn some skills that I myself didn't have when I was their age, when I was 18, 19, 20. So I'm hoping this will change their life, their family's life, their community, so there would be less human trafficking. There would be less getting married at a very young age.
That's wonderful. And I remember seeing in your video for the Empower Nepali Girls that, you're setting the seed in that family too, because really the child is at the mercy of the parents, right?
Exactly. Totally right. Yeah.
Now, when things get difficult during your climbs and cause you to feel like giving up, how do you reconnect with that passion and mission to carry on?
That's a very good question. For me, I remind myself about my why.
Hmm.
And, it's hard. Like, imagine 45 days of being on the mountain, no shower, no regular restroom, dehydrated food, negative 40 degrees, lack of oxygen.
Mm,
It's just at one point, not at one point, almost every day after day 10, I want to go back home because I'm
right.
sick, I have sore throat, I have headache, I'm just tired, I have blisters, I want to go home.
Mhm.
And the only way I can keep myself there is to keep reminding myself why, like why I'm there. There are some personal reasons. I love to challenge myself. I love to learn new lessons. I just love to live on the edge. That's personal reasons. But then on the other side, all the fundraising for the charities, all the people who are vicariously living through me, I cannot give up and just go back home.
All right.
So for me, I write a letter for myself and I say, "Hi, Sarah. Today is the day that you want to give up and go back home. But read this letter first and then go home." So,
Yeah, right.
and that's a reminder. That's a reminder for me why you're there and why you're doing what you're doing. I also ask my friends to write a why letter for me to remind me. So, I give up almost every day, twice a day. So I need a lot of letters to read to remind myself why I'm there.
Hmm. It's funny because the struggles that you might be going through with with something so extreme like a climb for Mount Everest, and the typical person is just trying to get the willpower to get on the treadmill for 20 minutes,
Exactly.
So it seems like you're a different breed of person, of human
No,
being,
I just,
superhuman.
I think we are all the same. I just practice reminding myself the why, that it doesn't take me a whole 2 hour to remember why I'm there. why. I've done it so many times at negative 40 that right now, if I want to convince myself to do something, it takes 2 seconds.
Great point. What do you think is your most valuable tip for work-life balance? I know you have a family and you've got your climbing and all of the work you do.
I think getting into the action as soon as you want to do something. So let me say it in a different word. Just starting whatever you want to start. Like a lot of times when we want to start a project, like let's say Everest size of a project, I want to start my own business. I want to have this amazing relationship. At the beginning, it seems like a huge mountain. And a lot of us, we give up right then, right there when we see the summit. But for me, the number one thing that really helps me, I just break down the project into 1,000 small projects, 1,000 small steps. And I just tell myself, just take one step. That's it. It's okay if you didn't take the 999. Just take one today. And I'm okay with it. I'm okay that sometimes I feel disappointed and sad and angry and tired, and I don't make it mean anything. I just mean this is just part of the process. This is what I'm dealing with right now, and this is today, just today. Tomorrow would be a different day. So just having the acceptance of we are all human beings with ups and downs. We are not in control of a lot of things, same as mountains. We are never in control of the environment, the nature, the mountain. So it's uncertainty throughout the life, 24/7. That's a given. We have no idea if all of us will be alive in the next hour. No idea. So just accepting that a big project is scary. It's scary for everybody. So just divide it down into 1,000 steps and
Mhm.
take one step, just one step.
I've read that you're pursuing a doctoral degree in leadership.
Yes.
What would you say is some of the most important qualities of an effective leader?
I think one of the I mean, there are so many, and I believe that there are not certain way of leadership that has to be practiced. I think there are many qualities for the leaders, and it has to be practiced in different scenarios. The being an effective leader is different in different scenarios. So in
Hmm.
one scenario, you have to be more bossy, and in one scenario, you have to be more collaborative with the rest of the team. And I think they're all correct and they're all good. And sometimes each one of them is necessary. But I think walking the talk, like whatever the leader wants the rest of the team to do, if he or she is not doing it herself or himself, that wouldn't work for the rest of the team. So I think walking the talk is the most important one.
Hmm. Do you, the podcast, of course, is called All the Hats We Wear. So when you're going from being a mom to, going to leadership training and all the different things, do you have to cognitively change your approach and switch out that role for another one?
Well, just to correct you, I don't have my own biological kids, but since I call all the girls in Nepal and other countries that I work with my girls and my daughters, so a lot of
Mm,
people think that I'm a mom, but I'm just a mom, not mom.
okay. Okay. Well, that's just as important, right?
I guess, for me, yes.
Good.
Um, so of course, like I have when I'm wearing different hats, like a mountain climber hat, a professor at university hat, a sister hat, a daughter hat. These are all different hats, and I would say my approach in all of them is exactly the same.
Hmm.
And in all of them, even my students or the girls in Nepal, the young women now, they are not girls anymore, they're young women in Nepal, and my sisters, my parents, like my approach to every single one of these situations is that with service and contribution, and how can I be there for you so that you grow, you be better, and you accomplish your goals. And whenever I had this approach that my first step towards life or the other person in front of me has been how I can help you achieve your goals, it usually came back to me and achieve my goals. Because
Hmm.
as a result, this is just it becomes a full circle.
That's great. Can you run for president?
Well, I wasn't born in US. I think that's the number one requirement. I have to be born here.
Oh, well. What is a hobby that you enjoy that may surprise people?
I love cooking.
Hmm.
I enjoy cooking very much, and I'm very creative, so I don't like to follow a recipe. So if you ask me to make the same food 2 days in a row, I cannot. If every day it's different, I get bored of making the same thing. So
Hmm.
I very much enjoy creative cooking.
Do you mostly cook Middle Eastern dishes or other culture?
I love mixing everything together. So you
Mm.
can tell sometimes my dishes Iranian, Italian, Mexican, but it looks like a hamburger.
Great. Well, I've got one final question. This has been such a joy. What is one powerful action step that our listeners can take to help them live a joyful, productive, and fulfilling life?
You know, I still haven't made it to the top of Everest. I started 7 years ago my journey saying, I want to climb Mount Everest. As a result, I helped a lot of young women around the world. I climbed so many other mountains around the world, but I still haven't made it to the top of Everest. So when you pick a goal, it doesn't matter if you're not standing on top of Everest. What really matters is the people that you meet along your journey towards the top of your Everest. What matters is the actions you're taking, the skills you're learning, the friendships that you are making. It's not about the top of the mountain. And even when you reach the top of your Everest, I'm sure there are a lot of more mountains to climb. So don't ever get attached to one thing. Just continue on taking steps. It's all about taking the next step and the next step and the next step. And you know what? Have you ever had this experience of buying something that you really wanted to buy, that purse that you really loved? We usually are happy for like 5 hours or 5 days or 5 months, and then we forget about it. So it's not about achieving our goal, even though it's important, but it's not about that. It's about taking steps and being consistent and persistent.
Awesome. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It was such a pleasure. And I think the audience is really going to enjoy this interview.
Thank you so much, Scott.
Okay, take care.
You too.
Bye. Welcome to the All the Hats We Wear podcast. This show will teach you the time management skills you need to be joyful, productive, and fulfilled in all areas of life. I believe if we want a fulfilling life, we must identify all the hats we wear, then dedicate our lives to turning each role into a beautiful work of art. This is episode 28, and I'm your host, Scott Snow. You're in for a treat today. We have a special guest. Sara Safari is an author, speaker, mountain climber, college professor, electrical engineer, and advocate for women empowerment. She has received the award for the Global Citizen from United Nations Association in 2015. She is a board member and a director of development in the Empower Nepali Girls Foundation. Also, she has received the award for Outstanding Practice with Broad Impact in the area of women and leadership from the International Leadership Association in 2017. Please welcome Sara Safari. You're meant to do great things. If you want to be an innovator and visionary, you have to manage your busy life like one. The All the Hats We Wear planner is the planner for the future. I want to give you a free month of the planner to try out for yourself. Nothing will slip through the cracks anymore. When you use the All the Hats We Wear planner, you'll have everything you need at your fingertips. All of your goals, a vision statement, a list of daily habits, and a checklist to track your progress. Key information for the small and large projects on your plate. daily sheets to clarify your top outcomes for each day, a week at a glance section to plan for the coming weeks, and much more. The All the Hats We Wear planner will be your roadmap to a more joyful, productive, and fulfilling life. To claim your free month so you can see for yourself how it will streamline your busy life, visit allthehatswewear.com.